The following program is suitable for general audience of any age. For a real view, real opinion, and for an honest conversation, it's time to Get Real with Mahieash Johnney. Tonight, coming to you from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Get Real. Well, Christmas is just around the corner, a couple of days away. So this is our Christmas episode where we talk about Christ's teachings and brings you a different point of view to give you how to cope up with Christianity and the event of Christmas, and how we can actually spend the time rather than only celebrating festivities and all those things, but to understand the core crux of the theology of it. What is the real message of Christmas? Where does it come from? The commercialized version is something that has overtaken like a plague all around the world, but there is a hidden true meaning underneath, and we want to explore that particular path and give you a better viewpoint, so your Christmas would be much of a blessed one rather than just festivities of merry and happiness, and then we forget about it and we go in to the next year 2026. Rather than that, let's ponder a little bit. It's at the end of the year. Let's take into account how Christ himself has helped us, in your case, whatever the religion that you believe in, how it has helped you and how it has cultivated you and how it will help you to go beyond this. Joining me tonight is a friend of the program and also of our station, Reverend Prasad, Harshana, the Rector of Aloysius Minor Seminary. Welcome back to the program. Thank you very much for being here, Father. Blessed Christmas to you.
Sure, the same.
So let me start off asking this. I know you told me not to put you in difficulty, but I want to ask a deep question, because right now we are coming off from a very disastrous situation. The entire nation experienced the current problem that we underwent, the natural disaster. So we are coming out of it. And right now people are lost. No hope. There is no way of knowing how am I going to go into this new year. Celebrating, you can't forget about it, because you can't even actually think about celebrating. For some, the entire house has gone off. They don't know how to basically keep going. And they're just walking like zombies, trying to figure out what happened to me and where am I going. A lot of people are out there like that right now. So what is the true message of Christmas right now? Because we know Christ actually came to the world exactly at a time like that.
You are 100% correct. So many people this year, they had the same question. They were asking me, Father, what about Christmas this year? Do we have Christmas at all? Should we celebrate it? There's no Christmas for us. Mm-hmm. These were some of the words, sentiments of our own people. When we meet them, they used to ask me. Well, these questions also put me into a deeper reflection, because always we have contextualized theology, right? Now, if you look back, the first Christmas, even Holy Family for that matter, they were a displaced family. And they had no place to lay their child. They were displaced. People were closing their doors and saying no to them. So I think not that we have no Christmas this year, rather we have true Christmas, and we have a better context to celebrate it. Only thing, we will have to define what celebration is all about. As you rightly said in your introduction, when you began this program, we have to define how we celebrate it. What is a celebration? Or what is a true celebration, We are not just celebrating a historical event only. Yes, 2000 years ago, he was born to us in a manger. And then it is not just a historical event. Because with him, why, for example, why Jesus Christ is celebrated, why his birthday has been celebrated for last over 200 years, because of the impact he had on the society, the culture, and all the people for that matter, not only Christians, now to the whole world. In fact, because of his birth, soon after his birth, the whole history of the world was separated into two, like, before Christ and after Christ. Because of the new philosophy that was born with him, the philosophy of life. So good for us to reflect and see why we celebrate his birthday. Not just as an historical event, as I told you, With him there were so many other things born to this world. The meaning of forgiveness, reconciliation, a new aspect of love. So many things were born together with him. And therefore, in this context, having our people, over 800 people, had to sacrifice their lives, with so many others losing their houses, as you rightly said. Well, this present situation sort of, inspired me as a priest to think about Christmas in a different way, as a result of which I personally found, before preaching to all other people, I as a priest, I must see what is it, how can I celebrate it, otherwise, we can't show off things, unless you have it first in your heart, then only you can share with your lips. So I found actually this time the only difference is Christmas has come before the 25th December. It has come much earlier. I used to tell my people and our friends, we had only 3 kings taking gifts and visiting Jesus 2000 years ago. But this time even I enjoyed looking at how you were participating and helping these people. So many kings taking so many gifts by lorries and all that and visiting those people. Don't you think it is Christmas? We only had 3 wise men in the crib. But here in Sri Lanka, we had so many wise men and women taking whatever they have and visiting those poor people, because Jesus said, you cannot love the invisible God until and unless you love your visible brother and sister. So the only way to love him is to love you, love my neighbors. Only way to encounter him is to encounter the people who are around you. And therefore, those in that historical event, for sure, they had only few shepherds, right? They were sharing the joy, not only the joy of foster father Joseph and Mary, they were also living with fear of death. Because King Herod was trying to kill this child. In fact, in his plan to kill this baby Jesus, right, he killed 1,000 innocent children. You know what happened in the history. So they were not only having the joy of God being born to them, they also had so many other issues. So there were few shepherds sharing these sentiments of Mary and Joseph. But this time, how many people continued that mission? How many people started, something called listening ministry, visiting all those people? I remember in Chilav, there were about 1,200 people in the church, and there was no way to feed them. The parish priest there had one just simple post. All the people from the south, Gaul, Mathura, they were coming not just one day. One person gave a call, Father, have no worries. You will have not just one meals, you will have all the meals until you are settled. And they were bringing food. So we happened to ask them, roads are blocked. How did you come? And they were telling something beautiful. Father, you don't worry about it. When we were victims due to tsunami, when we had nothing to do, nothing to eat, you people came and fed us, and now it's our time. It's our time, and we do it joyfully. Have no fear. Until you are settled, we will. And they were bringing thousands, lunch packets, dinner packets, all that. What I want to tell you is the whole country became a crib with so many shepherds, with so many wise men, because Christmas, the first Christmas was also Mother Mary and Joseph with their baby Jesus. They were a displaced family. So not that we don't have Christmas, I would say we actually have the true, meaningful Christmas.
It is a beautiful way that you put it, and it actually re-uplift the real meaning of Christmas rather than the one that we are used to all the time. Father, one thing that all of us, not just, it doesn't matter whatever the religion is, when there is a crisis, we seek God or the religion that we are observing. But when there is no crisis, we forget. So how can we utilize this? Because in 2022, when the country was going through a severe crisis, there was not a confirmed report, but then there was a lot of people were saying temples were filled, churches were filled, people were coming to church every Sunday, or whenever there is a mass, people were there. So the crisis leads people towards Christ, and when there is no crisis, it takes them away from it. So how can we keep on that particular path, understanding, no, it should not be, despite there's a crisis or not, you should live a faithful life?
Yeah, I think you are exactly touching the most important question. All of us should reflect together. Not only during this at present, this context, this situation of having these natural disasters, we have had so many similar experiences. Yeah. For example, Easter bombing attack, COVID pandemic. I have one beautiful example to share with you. In 2004, 25th December, we celebrated Christmas. And it was beautiful as usual, right? We celebrated Christmas. And then, what happened the next day, morning, 9 o'clock?
40 or something.
Tsunami. And we were then brothers. I was not a priest. But we had the privilege of working with these innocent victims. There were 2,800 victims in a tsunami camp called Kalutara Maggona, right? So the simple question they had on their lips, with tears in their eyes, where is God? He was born to us yesterday. We celebrated Christmas, Feast of Emmanuel, God with us. But where is He now? If there is God, why such a disaster took place? 40,000 people died in Sri Lanka, you know about it. And we had no answer. What we did, we were just living with them. And they were there with us in the camp 80 days. At the end of their when they are settled, they started moving to their houses back again. But then before that, they organized a simple farewell to us. We were also to go back to our seminaries. And in one of those speeches, somebody said something beautiful. We asked, where is God? 80 days ago, when we had sea waters in our houses, when we were washed away with all our dreams and hopes, we asked, where is God? That was our question. But then we found later, God is with us, playing with our children, cooking our meals, listening to our stories, praying with us in the evening. For last 80 days, He was with us. Wearing a white cassock with a black cincher, we found God with us. And they were having tears in their eyes and said, thank you, dear brothers, for showing us the invisible face of God. We have had so many examples like that. But the issue remains the same. What happens after a few months or few weeks? We go back to our same issue. Look at in the Gospels, you also know the scriptures well, I know. soon after the death of Jesus, having performed so many miracles, feeding 5,000, giving sight to the blind and life to the dying, doing so many things. Soon after his death, what happened? Peter and the crowd, they started going back
Old ways.
the old ways, And it was Mother Mary who brought them back, They thought, okay, it's done, now we go fishing. So this is, I think, human nature. We must not sort of judge them. But then it is our duty as priests, religious leaders, perhaps it is your duty as well, reminding people every now and then, of the wisdom we have gained from these experiences, and create situations where they can sort of reflect and take some permanent solutions and start walking. We might fall again, it's all right. Let's help each other. Keep this memory alive is something important. That is why I said Christmas must be celebrated, because by celebrating Christmas, we keep that memory alive. In the right sense, I mean, Otherwise, if you are to sort of, cancel everything, no Christmas, no that, no this, these opportunities are there in the calendar, so that we can sort of refresh our memories, and start moving again. Yes, it's a challenge. Even, for example, in America, when these Twin Towers were destroyed, you found churches packed.
Yeah.
People running for confession and all that. But again, diluted, Yeah, it's a constant struggle. But then, at least to discuss and to be aware that there is a situation of like this,
What can an individual who's watching, he wants to be or she wants to be a bit more faithful, a bit more religious. They want to walk with Christ in their life. So what would be the message you would give? How can they tweak it? Like, usually what happens is we've been told, read the Bible every day, pray. Things we do, but then again, this conversation you have with God himself is much more important as well, because that particular conversation is what gives you a lot of insights and maybe, works in miraculous ways. So how can someone actually do that, Father? Because when challenging times comes, we break. Humans are as such, we break. And then we curse, we blame, we do all that. But we never have that inward look at, okay, what happened to me? What did I do that got me to this particular point? So how can people redirect that and be a better human themselves and at large then be a better citizen, a better version of themselves, and reflect that message you earlier said about, loving your neighbors, being Christ-like?
True enough, I think for me, the original sin is compartmentalization. We compartmentalize, I don't know you get me rightly, but as we go on, you might, we compartmentalize things like this is religion, this is business, this is education, this is family,
Yeah.
This, it is not.
It's everything.
We need to have that synthetic spirituality, for we are connected to each other. So the moment you compartmentalize, what happens is, you become seasonal. We have seasonal Christians, For Christmas, we are very happy. We wear beautiful things, we celebrate, we have cakes, wine, we go to church, we have crackers, fireworks, all that. Good. But then, during the season of Lent, we lament. Now, it is not that. Christ is for all seasons. And that is exactly why we have this Christmas tree. Because not in Sri Lanka, but in Europe, they have seasons, no? Summer, spring, during this winter. According to these seasons, there are some trees, you don't find even single leaf, right? But the only tree that survived during all seasons is the cypress tree. That is why back in the history they wanted to have this cypress tree as Christmas tree representing Christ. Christ is for all seasons. Whether we are in good times or in bad, in sickness or in health, whether it is summer or what do you call spring winter, or winter, whatever, He is for all seasons. That is the meaning of actually having a Christmas tree, to tell the world He is eternal, He is for all times, valid for all times. Similarly, when we enter into a journey like this, Christianity, for example, even Buddhism, all these beautiful philosophies, they always inspire us to begin a journey. Now, this journey is destroyed when we have this compartmentalized mentality. That is the issue. Whereas for us Christians, we have this beautiful journey. We start the liturgical year, for that matter, with the birth of the Lord, 40 days sort of a retreat. With 4 weeks lighting 4 candles, we enter into the season of Christmas. And then in the middle of the year we have the season of Lent, where we celebrate the passion, death and resurrection of our Lord. Meantime, we have so many beautiful feasts of saints. Saints are the people who sacrifice their lives for the sake of Gospels. So, between the birth of the Lord and death, passion, death and resurrection of the Lord, having all these saints with Mother Mary, we have a beautiful liturgical year that helps us to continue this journey without interruption. I think we, as human beings, we need that spirituality of a journey. We become a pilgrim church. We are not set apart, we are not fallen, we are a pilgrim moving towards, towards the Father. So, as human beings, as you said rightly, we might forget things. Recently I found a wonderful driver, taxi driver. There are some wise men who are very simple.
Yeah.
They are full of wisdom. Now this guy was something like that. Yeah, I was actually rushing from Colombo to Kalutara. I told him, from sitting behind the taxi, he said, "Can you go a little faster, faster, faster?" I was inspiring him to do something bad, actually, But he was not. He was, very smooth. There were others who were coming on his way, but he was never aggressive, very smooth, decent driver he was. So somehow he took me there in time, and I gave him a little more. And I said, "You are an exceptional driver. I have been traveling with so many others, you are exceptional." He said, "Ane, why father? Hey father? Did I make some any mistake? Mage atin waradak unada father?" I said, No. I said, "You didn't break a single traffic laws. You were not aggressive. There were so many others coming on your way. I don't know, you are something special, someone special." He came out of the vehicle and said, "Father, if you had traveled with me 6 months ago, you won't say it like this. I was like that. That was my life. I was, terrible. I had a little dagger with me. I used to have little bottles in my car. I was like that." And I asked, "What happened? What happened?" And he told me, "Father, my whole life changed because of this." You know what he showed me? He showed me his wedding ring. He said, "Father, I am married. 6 months ago, I'm married, Father. This reminds me everything. I gave up smoking. I don't want to drive fast. There's my wife waiting for me at home. Father, she's pregnant. Every day I come after kissing my baby." He was talking. End of the day, he was always talking, referring to his ring. Now, see, the wedding ring is something very, very simple. But for him, it was something very powerful that reminded his covenant with the wife, reminded constantly his new life. So we need reminders like this. We need reminders. Then only we'll be able to enter into a journey without interruption.
That's absolutely a beautiful message. Father, let's take a short commercial break. A lot more to discuss with Reverend Prasad Harshana, the Rector of the St. Aloysius Minor Seminary. You're watching Get Real, our Christmas special. We'll be right back. To Get Real, our main conversation with Reverend Prasad Harshana, the Rector of the St. Aloysius Minor Seminary. This is our Christmas special. Christmas is just 2 days away. Father, take us back to Bethlehem, where Christ was born in that manger, in that little hut. If you really think about it, that was very symbolical in every aspect, from the star to the shepherds to even the crib, to baby Jesus's portrayal of that, and every single occurrence of that particular episode has so much of meaning towards proclaiming, sometimes fulfilling certain prophecies, and also proclaiming what is to come. So there is hope. I think it was the crux of it was hope and divinity itself. Take us back into that particular scene. What does that mean? Because there was no fireworks at that time. There was no big tamasha. There is no, people were not screaming, shouting and having parties. Nobody knew, but yet now we know. So what does that exactly, how does that define that particular scene that for us even today in our day-to-day life?
It's a beautiful question to reflect with you and with all our people who are listening and watching us. This crib, actually what you see at Bethlehem, it is called the mystery of incarnation. Mystery of incarnation depicted, presented to us. But what is incarnation? Incarnation is recreation, or the second creation story at Bethlehem. In the first place, if you go to the scriptures, you find God created the whole world, the universe for that matter, and He created it in His own image and likeness, Adam and Eve. That was the first family, right? But you know what happened? They opened their hearts to the evil one and everything was destroyed. So as a result of which, God had to save this humanity. Saving mission, found its fulfillment in the crib. And if you see those characters and what you find in the crib, yes, they are symbols today for us, but those symbols have powerful messages, reminding us of the historical event as well as challenging us to move forward in the future. Because you see, for example, a manger, a simple, humble, abandoned manger became a temple of the Holy Spirit, it became a sanctuary actually for God to begin His journey. And look at the life stories of, we say them, 3 kings, and they became wise men in the journey. You think that it was an easy journey for them? Just think about their 3 wives. When these 3 men started walking, they didn't have Google Maps, right? They had to walk gazing at a star. Just imagine the 3 wives of those 3 kings and their comments and all that. Actually, at the beginning of the journey, they were fools. Everybody must have told them, where are you going, man? Where are you going? No destination, no proper guidance, no directions. You say that there's something special there and there's a message and you are going behind it. So many people must have scolded them, saying that you are fools. Yes, they became fools for Christ, as a result of which they ended up becoming wise men. Sometimes, for example, if you start forgiving someone more than 10-15 times, your friends might tell you are a fool, man.
Yeah.
Just give it up, right? I have met some amazing wives when they come for counseling. They have found their husbands having so many illegal relationships outside marriages. But still she says, no, Father, I am not going to say yes to divorce, but I want to be with him. At least one day before I die, he will realize. So, all her friends around her tells her, you are a fool. You still want to be with him. He is just found guilty and he accepts, and you want to forgive and begin new life. He is going to be a playboy in the future as well. But she says, no, I will. So by becoming a fool in the eyes of the human beings here in the world, sometimes for the sake of the kingdom, the sake of the gospel, sake of your religion, sake of your principles, you become a wise man or wise woman in the future. Look at, for example, the poor shepherds. They became first witnesses of that glory. Nobody recognized them.
Can I ask this question, Father? Because there are two babies that are interesting within the Bible, which has similarities. One is Moses, who is born, but to a poor family, but then was raised in the castle. Why couldn't God himself, who is the creator of everything? This is a question I'm just posing to you. Why couldn't he choose a palace? It would have been very easy, and that would have been actually an event of celebration and big event throughout the entire nation of Israel at that moment. But why the manger, and why so unknown? What's the real message there?
Moses' story must be taken separately because it's a beautiful story. Why God the Father wanted Moses to start living in the palace with the king, not because God wanted to sort of, have him in the palace with the king. At that time, the people of God were slaves under the king. So Moses could see in his own eyes people who are suffering. God's people, God's chosen people, now they were slaves with the king. And for them, for Moses to experience slavery, for Moses to see in his own eyes the suffering, the pain, the tears, worries, there is no better place for him to stay. So that is why God wanted him to be there. Okay, look here, I am giving you a mission. In fact, the very meaning of name Moses is taken from the waters. Why? Because God knew one day my people will be taken to the promised land and they will have to cross the Red Sea. So Moses himself was saved from the waters at the beginning so that he will have to save so many others. 700 people actually saved them, taking them through the Red Sea. In the case of Jesus, it was different. Why? That is why I told you, Jesus was not born alone. With him, a new spirituality was born to us. Spirituality of poverty, spirituality of obedience, spirituality of simplicity, spirituality of humility. You can only experience all what I have just shared with you if and only if you begin from zero. You begin from zero. He was born to a poor family so that He will be able to start this journey, including everyone. That is why there are no doors in the crib. If you have a door only, you can close and say no or yes, no. Anybody could enter. Anybody could enter. So, as I was telling, in the crib, all these stories are there. Conversions. Shepherds being converted. Kings were converted. A humble woman called Mary became mother of God. A carpenter became a foster father. And you see, the crib gives us this powerful meaning, inviting all of us to go through conversion as well.
Indeed, a little bit more to discuss about with regard to this entire episode of Christmas and how exactly we can actually have a spiritual meaning to it and go beyond these festivities and bring that message that was there 2,000 years ago back into our life and make our life better and be a person who can give back in a meaningful way. But before that, let's take a short commercial break. I'm in conversation with Reverend Prasad Harshana, the Rector at the St. Aloysius Minor Seminary. You're watching Get Real. We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone, to Get Real. I'm in conversation with Reverend Prasad Harshana, the Rector of the St. Aloysius Minor Seminary. We are talking about Christmas per se and the true meaning of Christmas itself. Father, I want to ask you in our final segment with regard to going forward. Like you said, the entire year is designed as such that you can actually go in a journey with Christ Himself and have that particular feeding towards your life. Now, one thing that I think a lot of people have misunderstood is when you say Christ, oh my God, I have to behave really nice, and then it becomes a burden to them. So then suddenly they break away from that and do all the things and nasty things, and then they come back again in confession. But how can that be not a burden but a blessing? How can we turn that into it? Because there is this shift of perspective that is required, but most of the people are struggling to get that because everybody thinks like Sunday's church, everything is godly. From Monday to Saturday, all ungodly. So, yes. How do people can actually be throughout the week, throughout their life, throughout their existence, and not feel the burden of this?
Because Jesus Himself beautifully answered this question 2,000 years ago. He said, looking at the Pharisees who complicated Christianity actually, Pharisees and Sadducees and all those people who knew the scriptures than the others, they complicated this whole thing. And Jesus, looking at them, He said, my cross is light. Why are you taking it so heavily? This is something very, very simple. My burden is light, He said. And therefore, we need to understand the power of simplicity. That is also one of the powerful messages of Christmas. You know, there is something deep, Mahieash, something little deeper than what we have been discussing. Now, at this very beautiful event, which is called mystery, God becoming man, He has revealed to the whole world who God is. You know, I have given up heaven, for example. I became one flesh with you. So He has shown Himself. Not only He has revealed who He is, by becoming man, he also had revealed to the whole world the capacity of a human being to become God. Capacity. In you there is God. In me, in everyone. Sometimes you take, for example, a sinner. You take, for example, a terrorist. Even in a sinner, there is God. But he is suffering there. Maybe in the life of Mother Teresa, God is enjoying. That is the only difference. In a sinner, God continues to suffer, and in a holy man, he is enjoying his life. Now, what we have to recognize is that we are not just flesh, blood, and some bones. We are not only human beings. There is this divine nature in us. That is why when you do something good, when you help someone, there is some joy in you, right? But when you commit a sin, when you happen to fall, there's also this,
guilt,
ill feeling, guilt, These are the signs of that divine nature which is also hidden in you and in me. And therefore, answering your question, we need to enter into a simple life. Practicing Christianity, practicing Buddhism, practicing all these beautiful philosophies of life, we are also invited to embrace humility and simplicity. Only thing, many people or some have, we have these prophets and all these people who have complicated matters, presented Christ as a burden. No, he says, I am with you, let's walk together. Look at, for example, only the poor fishermen could recognize and embrace Christianity as their way of life. It was not a burden for them. It became a burden for the rich. It became a burden for those, proud people who couldn't give up things. And that is why Jesus said, for you to enter into a kingdom of God, it is like for a camel to go through a needle eye, And therefore, Christianity is not a burden. Living a life according to the gospel, actually, you will have a very simple life. Because, he said, if you are heavily burdened, if you are worried, if you have issues, come to me, he said. Come to me. Because in himself and in his teaching, we find this simple, humble way of life.
Is that also vital for everybody to walk with Christ every day, every time, every moment, rather than having this morning prayer, only speaking to Christ, and then you go to sleep, then you speak to Christ, but in between there is no connection whatsoever.
Compartmentalize.
Yeah, exactly. So you put Christ in this little box or this time frame, and then you devote that time, but the rest of this thing. So how vital is it, Father, for everybody to be walking with Christ and having the conversations with Christ and asking Christ to help you, whatever that you might be going through every single time, not just the bad things, even the good things.
It is actually a power of relationships, no? Because our God is a relationship. In fact, religion is a relationship. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, perfect relationships. And every time you enter into a journey with the Lord, remember, you and I can't have our personal salvation. I and my God. This is where the issue comes. I and my God. And I feel that I'm better than the other. I am more Christian than the other. I am more holier than the other, These are the issues that will destroy this beautiful harmony. There are 4 important relationships, Mahieash. I with my God, I with one another, I with my nature, and I myself. These are 4 relationships. But then they are interconnected. If you lose one, you will lose the other 3 as well. And therefore, we need to believe in the power of relationships. So that when you suffer, you have someone closer to you to help you. And when you are happy, there is someone to share your joy. You are not left alone. Christianity promotes this community living, family life. That is why even Christmas we celebrate the feast of a family. Father, mother, and a baby born to them. Because in the first, Satan destroyed the first family. Adam and Eve, and Cain and Abel killing one another. So the first family was destroyed. Family mean what? Satan always destroys relationships, because he knows the only way to destroy this world is to destroy relationships, right? And that is why Jesus only one occasion you find him telling, find all of us telling, deny yourself. He never said, go and deny Pilate, he is going to betray me. Deny Judas, the fellow sold me for 30 pounds, silvers, coins. He said, deny yourself. Deny yourself. And the one who is able of denying himself becomes
What does that even mean, Father? Like denying yourself?
Ego. It's ego,
Kill the ego.
Exactly. The moment, it's not easy, huh? It's not an easy thing. It's a journey. In fact, I used to share this story with all wherever I go. Jesus gave a promise to Peter, saying that you are a rock, right? But then, he not only gave him a promise, he started making him a rock by making him dust. Teaching him, Peter, your wisdom is, for example, in the Sea of Galilee, when he had not a single fish after fishing the whole night, here comes the carpenter. Jesus was the carpenter. He's saying, okay, now put your nets over there. And a big catch of fish. And says, your wisdom, your knowledge, your family background is nothing, man. Look here, I am a carpenter. I knew better fishing than you. So putting him to dust. Ego, It is not that, we must not take it negatively. We must not take it negatively. All of us should have self-esteem. We have dignity. You have your own dignity. But it should not destroy the other one. This
it should uplift.
Exactly. I must be a blessing to you. I mean, you know better than me, and your knowledge is a blessing for me, When I know you personally, let's say you read 10 books. I have not read a single book, but you are my friend. So what happened in the process?
Good relations.
That is why Mahatma Gandhi beautifully said, if the blind people are looked after by the people who have eyes, if the lame are looked after by the people who can walk, if the poor are looked after by the rich, in this world there will not be a single blind man, single suffering man. No. Why? Because we are a family. And Christmas is the feast of that beautiful family.
If by any chance for this Christmas, especially after what the country has gone through, what would your message be? I know you said a lot of things, but what would be the key takeaway you want people to take at this particular moment as they go into 25th of December, 26th, which is also a very crucial day for this country, which we commemorate, and keep going on that particular journey which you mentioned throughout the year, and not just on that 25th of December?
I would simply sort of have a wish in simple words: be a blessing. That's it. If I can be a blessing to you, right? If I can be a blessing to the people who are here, what more? By becoming a blessing, you become God to the other. That is why Jesus said, agape. The word agape, he never used the word love. Love is the most used and abused word today, used and abused as well. But he had a powerful word called agape. Agape means a deeper level of love. When I say I agape you, that means I love you, and my love is saving love, healing love, life-giving love. That is called agape. That is why Jesus asked three times Peter, Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? In the Gospels we have the word love, no?
Yeah.
But originally he's asking, do you agape me? And he's unable of answering Jesus with the same word. He knew, yes, I agape you. It's not easy to do that, But it is possible. And therefore, I would say, love can only be shown by action.
Absolutely.
Love is not a noun but a verb. To what extent you put into practice, to that extent you can share the power of it. And therefore be a blessing.
Absolutely. Christ himself was a blessing to all of us on Christmas Day, and he brought that salvation to this world and to each and every one, despite the fact that whether they believe it or not, that is irrelevant. But thank you very much, Father, for being a blessing to all of us and sharing that beautiful message on this Christmas Day. And I wish you a blessed Christmas as well.
Wish you the same, Mahieash.
Thank you very much. That was Father Harshana, Prasad Harshana, the Rector at the St. Aloysius Minor Seminary. Thank you very much for watching on this episode of our Christmas special. Well, 2 days more, we will be celebrating actually this time pondering upon the message, the true meaning of Christmas, like the good Father said, and hopefully have that message right throughout and be the blessing that you are called to be. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back again next Monday with our wrap-up show for 2025. See you then. Bye.
They're not so bad. Look at us, we're still here. We've been through the worst. We know how it hurts. And just like snow, it comes and goes. The bells gonna ring, and I'm gonna sing until you know. You don't have to be on your own. I'll take your broken heart out of the cold. Just reach out to my hand to hold. You won't be lonely, baby. Not this year. No more tears. Not this year. You won't be lonely, baby. Not this year. The lights on the trees bring warm memories, and I'm so glad that Christmas is here with you. We've been through the worst, we know how it hurts, and just like snow it comes and goes. The bells are